Raised by my mom, single mom. That's my best friend. And I would say like low-key raised by my sister too. She's 8 years older than me, so it was just always she and I, and her taking me places and being the babysitter when my mom was gone. My dad was definitely in the picture, but he passed away when I was 9. So, I mean, that has a heavy influence on who I am, just because who he was, but then how, quickly he left, and then how my mom, just like stepped up and was a G. My mom is an alpha female, so she's already super tough and like super like blunt and straightforward and like no nonsense kind of woman. So I definitely get it from my mom. My sister's not even like that. She's actually she's the calm, quiet one, but she still was like, you can't be a little crybaby, 6-year-old. And then half of it was she didn't have to tell me anything. I'm naturally like my mom, so I was tough and like sticking up for her. And and when you're around older people when you're young, you feel like that they count you out. Like, I watch Viceland. That little boy, he's like, I'm no baby. I was like, I'm not a baby. Like I can hang. Like I know what you're talking about. I can be a part of the conversation. So I think it was just like a strategy, like early on, like they probably don't want me around. So I'm like, you shut up, or like they're telling me something. I'm like, no, I know what to do. So the toughness is kind of like natural to me, but it also, I probably was a defense mechanism because I probably was like a little sensitive as a kid, but I couldn't be because you can't show weakness around like older people, or they really do treat you like a kid. So, I mean, I'm still tough, but I know how to use that tough and turn it on and turn it off now. My dad was definitely like a street guy, like a hustler, Detroit, you know what that means. And, when you have kids and you're trying to start a family, I think naturally as women, you want to nest and you're like, what's best for the kids, what's best for the family. And I think my parents had me when they were like 27, 26. So at that time, for some reason, they thought that was old, So my mom, I think, was like, she already had a kid and I was her second child. And she was trying to like, we gotta come home at a certain time. It's Friday night. We not out. We having popcorn and movie night, And I think, I don't all the way know, but I think that kind of contributed to the, lifestyle choices, contributed to them not necessarily being together. But it was almost like a movie where like a year or so before my dad passed, around when I was like 8, my dad really was settling down as a man. So like, let me try to get a job. Let me finish my degree. Let me get a house. Let me move my kids in my house. He was starting to really man up. And in part, or a part of that journey was me hanging out with him more. I was close to my mom, so if my mom was talking mess about my dad and mad at my dad for anything, I was mad too. And I don't think, we actually talked about this, where she didn't realize that her view or her feelings towards my dad was gonna rub off me. She didn't know I was listening. So I was mad and like, I don't wanna go with him to the family picnic because you mad at him. You was mad at him last week. Well, I'm mad at him too. So I didn't really hang out with him as much as I should, but around that, like a year or so before he passed away, we started to really foster a really good relationship. And I started spending more time with him and spending more time with my other siblings, and he started to take me school shopping. It was just more of these structural, like he was trying to build this structure. And I was meeting more of my family on my dad's side, and then he got in a car accident. And it was winter time, like January, we have black ice in Detroit. So I don't all the way remember the story, but it was something where he was like not being, I guess being chased, but being chased in the car, got on the highway. It was black ice and his car flipped over like 7 times, flipped over the median onto the oncoming traffic. And it was just a whole thing. So it totaled the car, and he did not pass away immediately, but he was in like a coma. And it was literally like in the movies where you go in the hospital and people are in those casts and their foot is like hanging up and they have the cast on their head. He had staples and everything. So it was, we found out he was in a car accident. I came home from school. My sister told me first. We went to the hospital and he was there in a coma for a few days. But once the doctors started to, he has a lot of siblings, so once the doctors kind of assessed the situation, they said that he would be brain dead. And, you know, like a cripple and brain dead. You know, I think it's one thing to be in a wheelchair and paralyzed, but I think it's another to be brain dead. You literally don't have a life. And everybody would be taking care of him for the rest of his life. And he was really a fun-going guy. Like, he owned a bar called Vic's Place. He was like a party guy, funny. And my family decided that that wasn't the way to go. He wouldn't have liked that, and the family wouldn't have probably been able to take care of him in the way that they needed to, so they decided to pull the plug. So it definitely changed me. I spent, I think probably every day after that trying to learn more, still to this day. My business is called Victor Group. Victor means winner. I feel like I'm a champ. Like, I feel like he was a champ. So a lot of things are dedicated to him to keep that memory going. I also realized that him dying when I was 9, you forget. If you don't talk about somebody every day, and a lot of people do this when people pass away, we stop talking about it because it may be just uncomfortable, but you will forget those memories if you don't talk about it. So I think I've done a lot of things to keep his name present so that I'm forced to talk about him. So I'm forced to remember and keep the memories, you know, present. I moved out here New Year's Eve of 2012. So I literally I was like, this is gonna be a cool time bringing the year fresh. So I started my job like January 7th, working. And the job was stressful. Working in Hollywood is stressful as it is, but working at a talent agency, it literally is just like, you know, the movie The Devil Wears Prada, where she was very aggressive and very coming in, throwing her coat on the table and playing your life, you know. It's very stressful. And so 9 months in, I started to be really, really stressed. Like, it's this type of job where, you know, the hours are like 9 to 7, but you come in an hour before your boss. So if your boss, the hours of the business is really 9, your boss comes in at 7, you got to come in or your boss comes in at 8, you have to come in at 7 because you have to get things prepared and get caught up so that when they come in, you're ready to go and you can brief them, and you have to be like their eyes and ears. There were definitely not a lot of people of color there, so I was one of the few faces. So that was hard because you're being talked down to in life and society anyway, but now I'm being talked to down at work, and talked down to at work intentionally. And I also felt invisible, like very invisible. It was like in the room, all the assistants are there. They weren't trying to talk to me because they went to the same schools. It was just, we weren't the same people. So I felt invisible. My boss would even butt dial me sometimes and be like, yeah, she's like this black girl. She sounds like her dog dies every time she answers the phone. Like, she's just like, it was obvious. She didn't say anything bad, but it was obvious that who I was it was different to her, and it was a problem, you know, and I had to fix myself and change my voice. I have a raspy voice, but she's like, change your voice. Like, can you just say it? We're practicing how I say hello. It was just a lot. So that was just a lot to deal with. So I was really stressed. So to say all that. So I would take the stairs to lunch, and one day I started like feeling numbness. Like it felt like my legs was like fell asleep. But I knew that it was just awkward timing, right? So when you're sitting down, your legs falls asleep. You understand why. I'm sitting down, I'm putting pressure on it, I get it. But it wouldn't be happening when I'm sitting down. It happened when I got up and I'm walking downstairs. It just don't fall asleep while I'm walking downstairs. I knew that was weird. So it felt like my legs were falling asleep, but you know, when your foot falls asleep, you can't really walk on it. So imagine your legs doing that mid-walk. So I would like fall to the floor or like have to sit down, and I didn't know what was happening. So that was happening a few times before I actually went to the doctor. I thought that I just maybe couldn't wear heels anymore or something. So I finally went to my primary care physician, and they made me get like an MRI on my legs, and they didn't see anything. So they said that I was probably stressed because I wasn't really sleeping well due to the stress. They said that it was probably stress because I work in Hollywood. They have a lot of patients that are assistants, and that I should probably take antidepressants. because I'm that stressed. Everybody takes antidepressants, so here's the prescription. So I'm like, I don't really think it's that. I feel fine. Like, I know I'm stressed, but I'm not stressed to the point where I need medicine to neutral, this thing out. But I took the medicine as prescribed and moved forward with life. So like maybe a few weeks later, it still kept happening, but one day I had this really excruciating migraine. I never get them. It's coming from the back of my head and it lasted for hours. Like, I couldn't see, I couldn't drive home. And it was just really weird for me. So I woke up the next morning and the right side of my face was numb. So like from my scalp to my chin. So brushing my teeth on this side was numb, but then this side was fine. It was like really weird. So I realized the similarities in the numbness. So I went back to my doctor. They ended up having me take another emergency MRI on my brain this time. And they called me back, like, you need to come in. We got your test results back. And they basically said it was consistent with MS because of the numbing. And then they found lesions, like maybe 9 lesions on my brain. And you get lesions on your brain because MS is a disease of the brain and spine. And it's an autoimmune disease where your brain is kind of attacking your central nervous system. So, like, it's similar. It works on your body similar to how eczema is and lupus. Your body is attacking itself. It's sending the wrong signals. So since being diagnosed with MS, like, I had to learn how to be more mindful and listen to my body, be more gentle, really know when to lay down, rest, or when I'm doing too much. So in that, I started practicing self-care. And also with being an entrepreneur, it's very, like, sometimes you forget to eat, it's very stressful, and stress is a trigger for my illness, for flare-ups. So I had to learn how to balance it all by practicing self-care. Some of the things I do on top of trying to live a healthy life is I meditate, and I think a lot of with sickness and health is your mind. You have to make sure your mind is in the right space. If you feel sick, you think you're sick, you say you're sick, you're sick. You know what I mean? So being positive has a lot to do with it. So I meditate, I pray, I carry a rabbit's foot, I have a dream catcher, I love healing crystals, I got a lucky tattoo. I mean, anything that it takes, I'm just a believer of it because I believe in revealing what's behind the hustle. What's the inspiration and motivation behind the hustler? Everybody talks about grinding, no sleep, grinding, hustling, but nobody's really giving out the secrets of how you're getting up every day doing that. So starting my day with mindfulness and meditation and prayer is huge for me. The energy around me, huge for me. Positivity around me, people, living healthy lifestyle, all things that matter to me. So I sell products and make my own candles, and I make products that support that lifestyle. Little reminders that I gotta keep going, and I have a purpose in life.